absorption process of the minerals. Means in that case, we are discussed about the initial absorption process and the second one, metabolic absorption process is there. Two types of the process are there for the absorption. See, in that case, one is that apoplast mechanism. See, apoplast mechanism means between the cells there is a space is there. Through that space, water is transported. Along with the water, the minerals also transported. And second one is symplast mechanism. From one cell to another cell, there is in cytoplasmic connections are there. Through the plasmodesmatar structures, the water molecules along with the water, minerals also transported. See, there is an active process is there, especially in the case of the second one. The very first one is that passive process. And coming to the next one is the translocation of the solutes. How the solutes are transported? We know within the plant cells there is a xylem is there and the phloem is there. Xylem is responsible for the transportation of the minerals. See, by the ascending stream means this is one of the plant, right? These are the shoot part, whatever the leaves are there and remaining all parts are there, right? See, this is the root, right? The root absorbs the water and the minerals. Here there is a transpiration pull. That is nothing but transpiration is always supporting for the transportation of water. Along with the water, minerals also transported from bottom part of the plant to the top part of the plant, right? So here there is an ascending stream is developed. That ascending stream supporting for the transportation of the minerals by the xylem, right? And the transpiration pull is supporting here. That is nothing but transpiration mechanism. Right? Analysis done by studying the xylem sample. Whatever the plant cells within that cells within that xylem cells, the sap is collected and the sap is subjecting for that identification of different types of minerals. See, by using some of the radioactive elements. See, here by the usage of radioisotopes or radioactive elements, we are identifying the different types of minerals which are transported through the xylem, right? Remember here main points are, one is that ascending stream mechanism, next one is that transpiration pull mechanism supporting, third one is that detection of the minerals which are transported by the xylem. See, first of all, whether xylem is responsible for the transportation of mineral or not, we are checking. After checking what type of minerals are transported by the xylem, we are checking by the usage of that radioisotopes. Right? That is about that translocation of solutes. Right? Yeah. Here the soil is the reservoir. We know there is no soil, there is no life. Definitely, water is required. Along with the water, soil is also required. See, soil contains the all types of minerals, and soil is supporting for that. Exchange of the minerals. Exchange is nothing but the soil is supporting for the cycles, nitrogen cycle, right, and phosphorus cycle, and different types of cycles. Nutrients cycles. All these cycles are supported by the soil. Here, all minerals are available within the soil. Due to that weathering process, we know whatever that large rocks are there, the large rocks by the climatic effect, some of the microorganism effects. See, by that effect, the large rocks are converted into that small rocks. The weathering process is also supporting for the soil formation. So the large huge rocks are finally converted to that powder-like structures. That powders contains the minerals, right? And breakdown of the rocks also. Breakdown of the rocks, that is nothing but simply what we know during the imbibition process. Some of the rocks absorb the water. The rocks are broken down. Right? Again the rocks are broken down. Finally, powder-like substance is produced. Here, that powder is nothing but the minerals. Right? By the weathering effect, by the breakdown of the rocks, finally here the soil is filled with the minerals. Right? Soil is the reservoir of the water, because we know that soil holds the water. Soil holds the water. That water is absorbed by the plants and survives the plants. Especially we are talking about here terrestrial plants or the land plants. Right? Soil supplies the air to the roots. Even within the soil, some of the gaps, very minute pores are there. Through that pores air, means exchange of gases is takes place. That exchange is supporting for the absorption of oxygen to the roots, absorption of oxygen to the roots, right? That is about that soil supplies the air to the roots and harbor to the nitrogen fixing bacteria. Whatever the soil is there, that soil is the harbor, main source, that is the harbor, right? See, all the microbes are present in the soil. We know the soil is the enrichment of microbes. Soil contains the enrichment of microbes, and all these microbes are involved in the nutrients. Not all, mostly, most of the bacteria or most of the microorganisms are supporting for the nutrients recycling process, and essential minerals affects the crops. We know, suppose one of the soil not having that sufficient amount of the soils, definitely in that soil yield is reduced. Definitely in that soil, if we cultivate the plants, the yield is reduced. So for nowadays, most of the farmers are overcoming that problem by the supplementation of the fertilizers. See, nowadays artificial fertilizers are available. Here there is a macro: nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, sulfur. These are the macro elements, and the copper, zinc, iron, manganese. These are the micro elements. Right? See, that is about that the macro and the micro elements. If we want to improve our crop yield, in that case we have to supply the minerals. Definitely the macro and the micro elements we have to supply to the plants. Then the crop yield is definitely chance to enhance that yield. Right? That is about the translocation of the solutes and the soil in the reservoir. See, next one. This is the last concept in this chapter. Nitrogen metabolism. We'll discuss. Coming to the next topic is the nitrogen fixation. See here, nitrogen is the key element. We know whatever the basic elements are there: carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, and the nitrogen. See, the carbon is available in the form of carbon dioxide in the source, which we know within the atmosphere carbon dioxide is there. That carbon dioxide involved in the photosynthesis process. Right? Again, the human beings and all the organisms carbon source is the here carbon dioxide. Then that carbon dioxide is converted into the carbohydrates. So we are eating the carbohydrates, right? And the hydrogen, we know hydrogen and oxygen, which are produced by the photolysis of water. In the nature, abundant amount of water molecules are available. That water molecules are split into the hydrogen and the oxygen, right? And these elements are also called non-mineral elements. These three elements are also called non-mineral elements, right? See, coming to that, the very important and the key element is the nitrogen. Very important, and the key element is the nitrogen. See, nitrogen does not have that specialized mechanisms for the absorption process, right? We are absorbing oxygen, we are releasing the carbon dioxide. Hydrogen atoms are available in the form of the water molecules, right? See, the carbon also, carbon source also available, but for the nitrogen there is no specialized fixing mechanism for the human beings, right? Not only the human beings, all the organisms, right? For that nitrogen purpose, definitely, all organisms are depends on that microbes and other nitrogen fixing organisms, And see, sir, what is nitrogen fixation? What is nitrogen fixation? Remember, whatever that inorganic nitrogen is there, the inorganic nitrogen is converted into organic nitrogen. Inorganic nitrogen is converted into organic nitrogen. In the atmosphere, nitrogen is available in the form of N2. This is nothing but inorganic nitrogen. That inorganic nitrogen is converted into the ammonia. So this step is called as nitrogen fixation. The step is called as nitrogen fixation. All of you remember here the two types of nitrogen fixation mechanisms are there. One is called a biological nitrogen fixation process. Other one is called biological nitrogen fixation process. One is that a biological means which is not depends upon the living organisms, right? So this one is called as a biological nitrogen fixation, right? Again here, natural nitrogen fixation is This one is also called electrical nitrogen fixation. So how the natural nitrogen fixation takes place within the atmosphere? Very simple. In the atmosphere, there is a nitrogen is there and oxygen is available. Presence of UV radiation or presence of lighting. Lighting is nothing but when the rains or takes place that time. Okay, there is a light is produced. That is nothing but lightning effect. Right? We know about the thunderstorms. During that thunderstorms, that time here the lightning is produced. That lightning is nothing but high electricity content. That high electricity content is released into the atmosphere. Then the atmosphere contains nitrogen and oxygen is activated and involved in the formation of nitrogen oxides. The activated nitrogen and oxygen involved in the formation of nitrogen oxides. So here NO and NO2 and N2O, these are the nitrogen oxides are produced, right? And industrial or artificial method. This is one of the best method, especially in the chemistry. Most of the artificial fertilizers also produced by the Haber method. We know about the Haber method. See here, nitrogen is there and the hydrogen is there, which are passing through that specialized copper material, right? See that nitrogen and that hydrogen which are combined, which forms the ammonia. This method is called as Haber method. This method is called as Haber method. So the concept is very simple. Here there is a nitrogen and hydrogen atoms which are passed through that specialized material content. Finally, it forms that ammonia. At the high temperature, this process takes place, right? So this is the Haber method. This is the artificial method. We know the concept is here. Artificial fertilizers. What are that farmers? Okay, using the artificial fertilizers are there. All these artificial fertilizers are produced by the Haber method. By the Haber method, right? So that is about that natural or electrical. And next one is the industrial or artificial nitrogen fixation process. See here, these are also other contents for that artificial. Yeah, a biological nitrogen fixation process, industrial combustion. See different types of factories which are involved in the combustion of the different types of materials. During that combustion process, also the nitrogen is released. The nitrogen is released, and the forest fires. Forest fires also releases that nitrogen content which are added to that soil right after that the firing process, and automobile exhaust also releases that nitrogen content, and power generating stations. See, all these are the sources to release that nitrogen content, and that especially these are produces some of that nitrogen oxides which are involved in that nitrogen fixation process. That oxides are involved in the nitrogen fixation process. So this is the concept regarding that the biological nitrogen fixation process. Coming to the next one is the biological nitrogen fixation process. Here biological nitrogen fixation process, there is a bacteria is there. Okay. See, biological nitrogen fixation means living organisms are involved in the nitrogen fixation process. Living organisms are involved in the nitrogen fixation process. So here there is a bacteria is there and the cyanobacteria is there, and especially the bacteria which are supporting for the nitrogen fixation process. Right? See, again two types of the nitrogen fixations are there. One is called free living. Free living means individually the bacteria, this is the bacteria, individually involved in the nitrogen fixation process. The bacteria individually involved in the nitrogen fixation process. Examples are here: Acetobacter, Basilicia, and next one is the Rhodospirillum. Acetobacter, Basilicia, Rhodospirillum. Again here sometimes asking like this. Remember, Acetobacter and the Basilic is a aerobic. These two are aerobic, free living, nitrogen fixing bacteria. Rhodospirillum. Okay, this one is the anaerobic. Rhodospirillum is the anaerobic nitrogen fixing bacteria. Right? That is about that free living Acetobacter and the Basilicia, okay, which are aerobic organisms. Rhodospirillum is the anaerobic organisms. And other one is that symbiotic. We know a mutual understanding between two different organisms. In that relationship, both the organisms are getting benefit, right? Nodular and non-nodular. There is a nodular nitrogen fixation is there and non-nodular nitrogen fixations are there. Nodular means nodules are produced either maybe the surface of the stem and the surface of the roots. In certain cases, surface of the leaves also nodules are produced. Nodules are produced. That nodules especially contains that bacteria involved in the nitrogen fixation process. Right? The first one is that nodular. Here, rhizobium, we well know about that rhizobium. There is roots of leguminous plants. Alfalfa is the best example. Okay, there is Phaseolus mungo, Phaseolus archaeus, right? And the soya and different types of Fabaceae family plants which are involved in the nitrogen fixation process, especially the roots of the Fabaceae family involved in the root nodule formation, right? So that nodules are involved in the nitrogen fixation process. See, the rhizobium is one of the best examples. It's a gram-negative bacteria, and the Frankia is also one of the bacteria. This one produces the nodules with that ulnus. The plant name is ulnus. This is the one of the important bit. This is the one of the important bit here. There is an ulnus. Okay, ulnus. Ulnus is the plant. Frankia is the bacteria. Frankia forms the nodules within the ulnus plant. And Rhizobium. This one is produces the stem nodules within that Sesbania. Okay, Sesbania. The plant name is the Sesbania is that one of the plant. Okay, here organism name is the Rhizobium. That is the organism or the bacteria involved in the stem nodules production. And see, the Frankia also one of the other characters also there. Frankia. See, the Frankia bacteria also involved in the nitrogen fixation within the Casuarina. The plant name is the Casuarina, right? Within that Casuarina plant, okay, Frankia involved in the nitrogen fixation, right? Especially this is the non-nodular nitrogen fixation. This is a non-nodular nitrogen fixation, right? So here there is a non-nodular nitrogen fixation. One of the best example is the Frankia. Frankia involved in the nodule formation. Frankia also involved in the non-nodular nitrogen fixation. See, these two are different plants. Right? And next one is that Azospirillum. Okay, Azospirillum with base roots. Azospirillum also involved in the nitrogen fixation with the base roots, but here there is no nodules production. Right? That is about that symbiotic nitrogen fixation process. Remember, here important points are bacteria in that free living, Azotobacter, Basilicia. These two are aerobic. Rhodospirillum is the anaerobic. Right? Symbiotic, Rhizobium, Fabaceae family or Leguminaceae family, Frankia. Right? Here, ulnus is the example, roots of ulnus, and Rhizobium, stem nodules of Sesbania, right? Sesbania, right? And Frankia again, here, Casuarina, non-nodular nitrogen fixation, Azospirillum, again this one is also non-nodular, right? Base roots, and the Cyanobacteria, this is the last one. Here, that Cyanobacteria and that blue-green algae, Cyanobacteria and the blue-green algae, we know this is also bacteria, but this is quite different from the common bacteria or the normal bacteria because which are having that photosynthetic units which performs that photosynthesis and which are also first oxygen producing bacteria, the first oxygenic photosynthesis process, right? So here there is a free living, okay, Nastat cannabina acceleratoria, free living Nastat cannabina acceleratoria, right, which are involved in that nitrogen fixation process. We already studied within the years. Nastat element, there is a heterosis cells are there. These are the normal vegetative cells. Right? Within that heterosis cells, there is a nitrogenase enzyme is there involved in the nitrogen fixation process. We studied, right? So Nastat cannabina acceleratoria which are involved in that nitrogen fixation process. Again, the symbiotic also the same organisms. but these organisms can survive individually, and these also survive in presence of symbiotic relationship. And again, Anthoceras is one of the plant belongs to the bryophytes. Anthoceras, horns-like structures we are studying. Right? Anthoceras is the best example. And cycas roots also involved in the nitrogen fixation process and organize that species. Right? Again, here the different types of species are there. One type of species in Anthoceras, another type of species using that cycas roots. Right? And last time, trifolium roots. Trifolium is one of that angiospermic plant. Trifolium is one of the angiospermic plant. Right? So that is about that basic nitrogen fixation process. Remember, whatever the table I mentioned here, all these examples are very, very important for the NEET examination point of view. We have to remember all these examples. Right? And next one we will discuss about the nitrogen cycle.